failing to perform his duties as a minister who should properly regulate the sector. And away from Liberia, more than 5,300 people are believed to have died after floods in the Libyan city of Dernan, an official has said. The details of these developments and news bulletin, the voices of the newsmakers sports, are all anticipated on today's edition of the news program. Let's join Olivia Bound to bring us the news bulletin. Good evening, Olivia.
Good evening, Hansen, and good evening to all. The first presidential debate of the 2023 general elections has been held in Monroeville, boycotted by incumbent President George Weah and his major rival, Joseph Boakai, as well as CPP standard bearer Alexander Cummins. The organized Truth FM's flagship program, State of the Nation debate, was, however, attended by 8 of the 20 presidential candidates, to include Tiawon Gonglo, Clarence Moniba, Alan Brown, David Kiamu, Edward Appleton, Luther Yoffe, Sheikh Kuyate, and Alexander Colley. The 8 candidates, among other issues, explained their plans to improve the economy, justice and rule of law, agriculture and education, as well tackle drugs and drugs addiction. Our plans to solve Liberia's crumbling economy, candidate Tiawon Gonglo said he will decentralize the economy by dropping corporate tax for any company that established factory 50 miles away from Monrovia. Democratic People Party of Liberia's candidate David Cameron said the Liberian justice system has many qualified legal practitioners but lacks the character and integrity to dispense a justice fairly, promising to drastically clean up the justice system if elected on October 10 as president of Liberia. For his part, Dr. Clarence Monibad of the Liberian National Union identified lack of political will as the major challenge affecting the justice system and pledged to transform the legal system of the country as head of the nation. Among other issues, all the 8 candidates share similar agenda on education, agriculture, justice and rule of law, and drugs, among others. The presidential debate held at a local hotel in Concotown was attended by civil society organizations including the Press Union of Liberia, Accountability Lab, and Civil Society Advocacy Platform of Liberia, among others. The leadership of the Neighbor County Radio Association says its attention has been drawn to a trending news in which 14 journalists in the county are accused by the opposition Unity Party of allegedly receiving money from the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change. 14 journalists in Neighbor County are accused of receiving 10,000 United States dollars from CDC Secretary General Jefferson Kochi to carry out smear campaign against the political leader and some stalwarts of the Unity Party. Nicola said such allegation raised against its members of the Unity Party's Youth Wing Secretary General of Nimba, Prentice Doman, and the county official campaign spokesperson Bob Cato, and several youthful members of the party have the ability to smear the reputation of those journalists. Princess Doman and Bob Cato accused 14 journalists that the 10,000 United States dollars from Mayor Jefferson Kochi is a part payment of 25,000 United States dollars the ruling party has apportioned for compensations to those journalists. The leadership of Nicola said it condemned the alleged action by the opposition Unity Party youth leadership in the county against those journalists and denounces all forms of negative propaganda that may endanger their lives and the lives of other practicing journalists. Nicola also called on the opposition Unity Party to ensure the safety of those journalists against personal and verbal attacks by their partisans and partisans of other political parties who see them as compromised journalists on the basis of the damaging accusation. Meanwhile, Nicola has urged journalists in the county to continuously uphold the ethics of the profession by independently and equally reporting for all parties in the election with accuracy and credibility. Monsoto County District 8 representative candidate Rufus Novell is calling on President George Triad to immediately dismiss Education Minister Professor Ansu Soni for allegedly failing to perform his duties as a minister responsible to guard the educational sector. According to him, the failure of Minister Soni to regulate the schools has created a windfall for some school administrators and the parents which contribute to economic hardship in the country. He said, as education remains the backbone of any nation and the foundation for growth, issues affecting the sector should be addressed properly. Neville is meanwhile calling on national government to close all schools across the country for the election period, stating that having schools open will expose the children to political dangers. President Joe Trier has reacted to opposition assertions that his government is blamed for what is believed to be the hard importation of illicit drugs in the country. According to him, the issue of illicit drugs has been an OH issue in Liberia, and its government cannot be held responsible for such claim. Speaking at a political rally in Jokwele District, Bon County, the Coalition for Democratic Change standard bearer warned his partisans not to be fooled or carried away by false accusations against his government. He said the opposition community, especially the Unity Party, is listed to convince the Liberian people why he should not be elected. And as such, they have decided to spread fake news across the country. President Weah at the same time used the occasion to encourage his supporters to be aware of such false information and not to allow themselves to be distracted by what it described as failed opposition. The civil law court is seeking the arrest of Health Minister Wilhelmina Jala for contempt. Judge Kennedy Peabody Wednesday, according to RCA judicial correspondent, mandated the sheriff of the court to apprehend the living body of Minister Jala. Our judicial correspondent further revealed that Judge Peabody's September 13, 2023 action was triggered by the country's health minister's alleged refusal to pay and reinstate employee Hillary Clark that was wrongfully dismissed per all. Presidential Affairs Minister Wissa Blamo wants first-time voters to consider supporting the ruling CDC to ensure the continuation of tuition-free education at the University of Liberia and public universities in the country, including the payment of wise fees. Minister Blamos cited a lack of clear plans from presidential candidates to provide free education for the underprivileged youth of the nation. He made a disclosure Wednesday during an engagement with religious leaders in Plymouth to the district Montserrat County. The coordinator of District 14 Montserrat County chapter of the Coalition for Democratic Change, Myers Blinton, has issued warning to opposition politicians against unauthorized usage of the party's logos, songs, and uniforms in their campaign efforts within the district. Blinton, who also holds the position of chairman of the Coordinator Council of the CDC, expressed concern over the alleged dissemination of false information by some opposition politicians claiming to have the support and endorsement of the CDC. Bulletin emphasized the party's commitment to taking legal actions against any politician found misleading the electorate by inappropriately associating themselves with the CDC. Criminal Court A Wednesday dismissed former Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scott from joining her defense team in Thoban. Defendant Scott's dismissal, according to RCA judicial correspondent, came as a result of a submission from prosecuting lawyers to the court that ex-Chief Justice is a criminal defendant, and as such, she should not form part of the defense team in Thoban. But defense lawyers rejected prosecutors' accounts to the court, saying no law prohibits her from joining her legal team. Our judicial correspondent for that following both parties' lawyers' claim and counterclaims, Judge Roosevelt will granted state lawyers' request and later asked defendants Scott to leave the bar and return to the dock where defendants are usually seated during trial. The president of the National Association of Science and Development Institutions, Louis Tokpa, has reiterated calls for more support to the sector in the country. According to Tokpa, the surest way to national development is for Liberians themselves to be given the opportunity to fully participate in the reconstruction process of the country. Tokpa, who is the founder of the Versatile Vocational Training Center in Painesville, wants the national government to ensure that technical vocational education is strengthened in private and public institutions. Speaking at the sixth graduation ceremony of the institution, Louis Hobart encouraged Liberians, especially the youthful population, to venture into technical education for self-reliance. The veteran Liberian journalist blamed the underdevelopment of Liberia to an unlimited number of skilled people across the country. Away from Liberia, more than 5,300 people are believed to have died after floods in the Libyan city of Denan, an official has said. The sea is constantly dumping dozens of bodies, a minister in Libya's Eastern administration said. There have been desperate calls for more humanitarian support as victims lie wrapped in body bags and others have been buried in mass graves. A tsunami-like river of flood water swept through Denan on Sunday after a dam burst during Storm Daniel. Rescue teams are digging through the rubble of collapsed buildings in the hope of finding survivors, but hope is waning and the death toll is still expected to rise further. Officials say at least 10,000 people are missing, while 30,000 people are estimated to have been displaced. The United Nations International Organization for Migration in Libya said on Wednesday. We are here since that's a news bulletin.
Thanks to Olivia Bound for the news bulletin, the foreign development, the bulletin of news. It is a regular feature on the news program. If you are just joining us in one of the top developments that we are following, Nema County Community Radio Association leadership describes astonishing of repetition. The county's Unity Party chapter accusation that 14 journalists in the county have taken bribe from Mayor Jefferson Kochi to smear opposition UP standard bearer repetition. Let's bring you the voices of the newsmakers. The first presidential debate of the 2023 General elections has been held in Monrovia, boycotted by incumbent President George Weah and his major rival, Joseph Boycott, as well as CPP Standard Bearer Alexander Cummings. The organized Truth FM flagship program State of the Nation debate was, however, attended by 8 of the 20 presidential candidates to include Tiawan Gonklo, Clarence Monimba, Alan Brown, David Kimun, Edward Appleton, Luther Yoffe, Shakuya Ted, and Alexander Colley. The 8 candidates, among others, issued explained their plans to improve the economy, justice and rule of law, agriculture, education, as well as tackling drug addiction. On plans to solve Liberia's crumbling economy, candidate Tiawan Gonglo said he will decentralize the economy by dropping corporate tax for any company that establishes factory over 50 miles away from Monrovia. Organized by Truth FM flagship program State of the Nation, the debate was attended by 8 of the 20 presidential candidates in October 20. The candidates were Chairman Oklo, Clarence Maniba, Allen Brown, David Kimun, as well as Elmo Appleton, Luther Yoffe, Sheikh Yated, and Alexander Holly. The 8 candidates and other issues explained the plan to improve the economy, agriculture, education, as well as tackle drugs and drugs addictions, strengthen justice and rule of law in Liberia. On plans to solve Liberia's crumbling economy, Ken Chawan Bonglo said he will decentralize the economy by dropping corporate tax for any company that establishes factories 50 miles away from Liberia. So I'm going to decentralize the economy. I'm going to give federal incentives, including tax, dropping corporate tax for any company that establishes factories 50 miles away. And it will be on an incremental basis. To the extent that if your factory is established back in Maryland or Washington, but what it will do is that when you involve, for example, 1,000 persons back in the day, those people pay income tax to government. So government tax is expanded. Democratic people said that the justice system has been qualified legal petitioners for lack of integrity and spend justice fairly. With integrity, but then in the justice system, so that we make justice work for everybody. The Clarence Monday identified lack of political will as a major challenge to the justice system. Pledge to improve the legal system. President, there's no law in Nigeria that says corruption is legal, yet it happens almost every single day. There's no law that says that rape is legal, yet in Nigeria, they always say, oh, let's go to the power of that. Let's go talk to them like rape. So let me ask you a question. How do you but if somebody steals it like what do we say? That if you tell your job, that you can solve it, you'll need a man, like when an elephant eats. Plan to tackle drugs and drugs addiction can Edward Appleton vowed to declare war on drugs when elected on Doverton as president of the Republic of Liberia. As part of our national policy, we will declare war on drugs. This is going to be a big part of our 100-day plan. We must show that we can have a regulatory framework. We must enhance the government agency for Liberia resolution after the drugs is now the biggest problem affecting Liberia. For Liberia Restoration Party and Allen Brown, drugs is now the biggest problem affecting the country. I'm on record to say that I believe that the biggest problem affecting this nation is drugs. I think it's harder than Ebola and COVID combined because it affects the youth. The youth are the victims, so we want to destroy a nation. Agenda, education, agriculture, justice, Thanks to Erin Dodo for that report. Let's continue with more developments on the news program. The leadership of NEMA Community Radio Association says its attention has been drawn to a threatening news in which 14 journalists in the county are accused by the opposition United Party of allegedly receiving money from the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change. 14 journalists in Nema County are accused of receiving 10,000 United dollars from the CDC Secretary General Jefferson Koji to carry out a smear campaign against the political leader and some stars of the Unity Party. Here is Nikora Secretary General Kennedy Doma.
The leadership of the Lima Community Radio Association Nikora attention has been drawn to a trending news in which 40 professional journalists have been accused by the opposition Unity Party of allegedly receiving inducements from the ruling coalition for democratic change in party to carry out self campaigns against the political leaders and aspirants of the party. Such an allegation was raised against those Nikora members by the Unity Party Wing Secretary General of NIMBA, Socrates Doma, and the NIMBA County official campaign spokesperson Mr. Bob Yonokato, and several youthful members of the party NIMBA's chapter on the 7th of September 2020 edition of the party-sponsored radio program recognized on African Radio NIMBA. Senator President Doma and Bob Yonokato accused those 14 journalists of recently receiving 10,000 dollars from Mr. Jefferson Secretary General of the CDC out of the 5,000 United States dollars. They said the ruling party has a portion as their compensations. The leadership of Nikora, in the strongest terms, condemns the action by the opposition Unity Party youth leadership in the country against those journalists and denounces all forms of negative propaganda that may endanger their lives and the lives of other practicing journalists. Nikora believes that the accusation was not proven and has the proclivity to undermine the workings of community radio journalists who are sacrificing to serve the society on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, Nikora wants to appeal to all parties in the ensuing of 2010 general and presidential elections to base their campaign on issues rather than targeting or attacking other individuals, including journalists. The media is there to serve all parties without fail. Nikora also called on the opposition Unity Party to ensure the safety of those journalists against personal and verbal attacks by the partisans and partisans of other political parties who see them as compromised journalists on the basis of their damaging accusation. As a media body, the leadership of the umbrella organization is therefore requesting the Unity Party to retract the accusation levels against the journalists and issue an unconditional apology. Meanwhile, Nikora wants to urge all journalists in the country to continuously uphold the ethics of the profession independently and equally voting for all parties in the election with accuracy and credibility. Nikora is calling on its members to avoid occurrences of occasions and behaviors that may cause politicians, partisans, and ordinary citizens to become suspicious about favoring a particular candidate or political party. In conclusion, the Community Radio Association is pleading with all partisans, candidates, and political actors to focus their campaign on the issues affecting the citizenry and strategies aimed to resolve them. By that, there will be setting the days for peaceful elections in our country.
Voice of Kennedy Doma there from Nikora in Nema County. President George Weah has reacted to opposition assertions that his government is to blame for what is believed to be the hard importation of illicit drugs in the country. According to him, the issue of illicit drug has been an OH issue in Liberia, and his government cannot be held responsible for such claim. Speaking at a political rally in Jokkula District, Bon County, the Coalition for Democratic Change stand-up bearer warned his partisans not to be fooled or carried away by false accusations against his government. All right, so this brings us to the end of our discussion on the voice of President George Weah there speaking in Bond County. District 8 Representative Kennedy in Montserrat County, Rufus Newville, is calling on President George Weah to immediately dismiss Education Minister Professor Ansu Sidney for allegedly failing to perform his duties as a minister responsible to guard the educational sector. According to Newville, the failure of the minister to regulate the schools has created a windfall for some school administrators and the parents, which contribute to economic hardship in the country.
And as a good citizen, I'm going to call on the president to dismiss the Minister of Education for his immediate effect while failing to perform his duty as a minister responsible to guide the educational sector. Failure to regulate the schools has created a windfall for some of the school administrators in our legal community. According to Justice, education remains the bastion of the future of this country. The foundation of good education continue to suffer as a sector we must fall into and fall our own concerns. We are also getting information that schools immediately during the election time. So open schools during the time of election will be to expose our children, our little brothers and sisters to all kinds of political things. We also want to call on President Weah, Minister of Education, to close all schools during the month of October, at least from October 1 to the end of the first or second round of election, to allow the children to go to schools during election time. We also suggest that when there's protests, when there's peaceful assembly, when there's any kind of promotion, parents should be students, for our parents, for our bankers. So we want the Minister of Education to allow the children to go home and may the schools be keeping with the new education policy to dismiss the immediate effect all schools will be closed in October. We want to elevate also the issue of graduation fees. Graduation fees cannot be more than tuition school fees. Most of the schools that have graduation fees are far more than even the administration and integration in the prior academic year. All the requirements for the student will be is more than all of the requirements in the period of the school year. I think our students are crying, parents are crying, and it also comes back on the Ministry of Education to ensure the proper regulation of schools.
Rufus Newville is Montserrat County District 8 Representative candidate speaking. Presidential Affairs Minister Wisa Blamo wants first-time voters to consider supporting the ruling CDC to ensure the continuation of tuition-free education at the University of Liberia and public universities in the country, including the payment of wax fees. Mr. Blamos cited a lack of clear plans from presidential candidates to provide free education for the underprivileged youth of the nation. He made a disclosure Wednesday during an engagement with religious leaders in Plibuntuli District, Montserrat County. I need money. Oh. The voice of Presidential Affairs Minister Wisa Blambo. The president of the National Association of Science and TV Institutions, Louis Tukba, has reiterated calls for more support to the sector in the country. According to Tukba, the serious way to national development is for Liberians themselves to be given the opportunity to fully participate in the reconstruction process of the country. Louis Tupper is the president of the National Association of Science and TVET institutions. They're reiterating calls for more support to the sector in the country. Well, that's all the time we got to be with you. As we sincerely apologize, we could not bring his post. As we end this news program, these are the top stories we've been following. Truth FM flagship program, State of the Nation, hosts first presidential debate for the 2023 general elections in Monrovia, with incumbent President George Weah and his major rivals Joseph Boycott and CPP's stand-up Barry Alexander Cummings boycotting. Lima Community Radio Association leadership describes astonishing of repetition the county's Unity Party chapter accusation that 14 journalists in the county have taken bribes from Mayor Jefferson Kochi to smear opposition UP stand-up bearer repetition. District 8 Montserrat County Representative Kennedy Rufus Neves, once President George Weah dismissed Education Minister Professor Ansu Sonin for allegedly failing to perform his duties as a minister who should properly regulate the sector. And in foreign news, more than 5,300 people are believed to have died after floodings in the Libyan city of Derna, an official has said. Many thanks to our correspondents, writers, reporters, editors, and those who helped in making today's edition of the news program a success. Olivia Bound read for us the news bulletin, the foreign development. Johnson Gatoma Able coordinated the sound, and Tobian Able coordinated this entire production. My name is Hanson Decker. Good evening.
When it comes to communication in Liberia, Orange is number one.
Orange is the best. Orange is the best. Oh, Orange is the best.
Orange is the best.
Strongest network, widest coverage.
Orange is the best.
Fastest internet speed.
Orange is the best.
People, Orange is the best. Yes, Orange is the best.
Lamakitiye nagatama please woo company gini that's the for Orange top number 1 so we need to
Company is Orange along are the best.
Orange will more you the telephone on.
Reliable, trusted, and dependable.
Orange is about 7. Yeah, Orange is
Orange is the best.
It's all about what matters to you. Orange.